Hello everyone. Good morning and welcome to today's The Hindu news analysis. Myself Nidin K. Biju. I have cleared the Civil Service mains and the Indian Forest Service mains this year. I have attended the Indian Forest Service interview and I am awaiting to attend the Civil Service interview this year. In today's Hindu news analysis, we'll be discussing three main articles of the newspaper today. They are first one across the globe, across the Gulf, virtual reality, and the third topic is UP starts pool testing of COVID samples. Apart from these news articles, we'll be discussing prelims topics which are attached, which are related to these news articles, which include the GCC, Gulf Cooperation Council, and the pool testing. Along with it, we'll be discussing about a mains practice question from which is related to the above topics. So please keep watching till the end to get the maximum benefit out of this video. At the end of the video, I'll be telling something very important for your mains answer writing practice. Coming to the first topic. The first editorial is Across the Gulf. So in this editorial, the plight of the Indians who are stuck in the Gulf Cooperation Council countries are being mentioned. After the aftermath of the corona, many of the Indians are stranded in the Gulf countries. So we'll be discussing about their issues in this article. So around 8 million people in the Gulf Cooperation Council, the countries constitute a unique cohort among the Indian diaspora communities around the world. So here they are telling that the Indian diaspora in the Gulf countries amount to around 8 million people. And there are two main features of this 8 million number community of Indian diaspora in the Gulf. The two features are, one is the nature of the workforce. Approximately 50% of them are unskilled laborers and another 30% are semi-skilled. Only a small minority, that is around 20%, they are skilled and lucratively employed. So we can see that this Indian diaspora in the Gulf is very much different from the diaspora in the Western countries in this manner. In the Western countries, the diaspora is mainly skilled. The Indian diaspora there is skilled, mostly professionals. But here, 80% of the Indian diaspora is either skilled or semi-skilled. Unskilled or semi-skilled. And the second feature of this Indian diaspora in the Gulf countries is that they plan to come back to their country after the work period. This is a main difference there. No Indians plan to settle in the Gulf countries, mainly due to their domestic policies and all. So most of the Indians who are working in the Gulf countries, they want to return to India. This is very much different from the Western Indian diaspora, where in the example in the United States or the European countries, the Indian diaspora will try to settle there. But here in the Gulf countries, the Indian diaspora plans to come back and settle in India after maybe 10 years of work, 20 years of work, or how much ever years of work. So these are the two main features of the Indian diaspora which are present in the Gulf countries. Now, due to the corona pandemic, they are being facing some issues. One is the living and the working conditions make it extremely difficult for them to practice social distancing or even get treatment if infected. There, as you know, the accommodation facilities are very congested, making social distancing very difficult there. Even the treatment is below par. Also, many of them, since they are working in the construction in sector and all, they suffer from pre-existing medical conditions like lung diseases and other sort of comorbidities. I hope you remember what is meant by comorbidities, which we have discussed in an earlier video. Also, due to the coronavirus pandemic, economic sectors have shut down, which made many of them jobless. So these are the main issues which are being faced by the Indian diaspora in the Gulf countries. So now coming to the Indian perspective, Kerala. Kerala has around 2 million people who are settled in the Gulf countries. So out of those 8 million people, 2 million people come from Kerala. Apart from that, states such as Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, and Punjab, they also have significant communities in the Gulf countries. So what is the way forward? The way forward is that the center should discuss with the states involved, Kerala, UP, Bihar, Punjab, and make a plan of action. Then have a discussion with the countries in the Gulf region, and make a solution for the problems faced by the Indian communities there, as they are very important for the Indian economy. As we see here, around 40% of the total foreign exchange remittance comes from these Gulf countries. So this is the importance of the Indian diaspora in the Gulf countries, and the editorial discusses about their issues. Now here we have to focus on some important prelims related facts. So as we have discussed about Gulf countries, we have to discuss about an organization called GCC, Gulf Cooperation Council. So what is GCC? It is a regional intergovernmental political and economic union established in 1981, and it consists of all Arab states of the Persian Gulf except Iraq. So who all are the members here? The members are Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates, that is the UAE. So there are, as we have already seen, there are 6 members: Saudi, Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, UAE, and Oman. So the map of this region becomes very important here. So one mistake which everyone makes is many people consider Iran as an Arab country. Iran is not an Arab country. Iran is not even in the Arabian Peninsula. It is geographically separated from the Arabian Peninsula, and even culturally, Iran is different from the Arab countries. Iran, the name itself comes from the people of Aryan. Also, the religion there was Zoroastrianism. So culturally, Iran is different from the Arab countries. So this area, this GCC includes all the Arab countries which are in the Persian Gulf, except Iraq. Iraq is avoided from this. Now, here comes another important topic. So here we'll be discussing about this region marked in black, that is the Persian Gulf. Persian Gulf. It is a Mediterranean Sea in the Western Asia. The body of water is an extension of the Indian Ocean, that is through the Gulf of Oman, through the Strait of Hormuz. So here we have some important geographical concepts here. See, the area marked in the circle, it is the Persian Gulf. This area which I am pointing it out, is the Gulf of Oman. Here it is the Indian Ocean through Gulf of Oman, and this strait is called the Strait of Hormuz. So these concepts are very important, and it can be asked as a direct question in the prelims. So this encircled region is the Persian Gulf. Many of you might have got surprised why it is called a Mediterranean Sea, because we have heard that there is some other sea called as Mediterranean Sea. Here I have to clarify you one thing. Mediterranean Sea, it is a geographical concept. It is not just the name of a sea. We'll see more about it now. Mediterranean Sea, according to oceanography, Mediterranean Sea refers to a mostly enclosed sea that has limited exchange of water with the outer oceans, and with water circulation dominated by salinity and temperature differences rather than winds. So we can see that any kind of an enclosed sea is normally called as Mediterranean Sea, and it is a geographical concept. But we have given the name to another sea also. So here we can see the examples of Mediterranean seas. The concept of Mediterranean seas are the Mediterranean Sea, which consists of many different seas such as Aegean Sea, etc. So the Black Sea is also an enclosed sea. The Red Sea, the Persian Gulf, these are also enclosed seas. So the Mediterranean Sea is actually a general name of all these enclosed seas. So I guess this might be a new information for many of you. And coming to some statistics for mains, like as we have already seen in the article mentions about some statistics. If you are able to use these statistics in your answer writing, it will be very much beneficial to get those extra marks. So the number of Indians in GCC are 8 million people. So if we are able to start any question related to the GCC in the following manner, like Indians constitute around 8 million people in the Gulf Cooperation country councils countries. So if you are able to start an answer in this manner, we'll be able to impress the evaluator and give an impression that we know more statistics related to it. So the other statistics involve the nature of the workforce there, that is 50% unskilled, 30% semi-skilled, and 20% skilled. Also the remittance contribution of the Indian diaspora from the GCC, that is 40% of the total foreign exchange remittances. So these are the main statistics for mains. You can make a note of it. Now coming to the second article, second editorial in the Hindu newspaper, virtual reality. So this article is mainly about the use of technology, the importance of technology during the times of this COVID pandemic. Now, so the world has very few devices left to fight COVID-19 with, but technology remains one of them. Whether it is the employ of state of the art technology in the discovery of cures or vaccines, or traditional technology services to enhance healthcare and consultations, or even the tools that keep people at home occupied or productive, it is clear that technology will serve humanity at one of its darkest moments. So, the importance of technology. As UPSC aspirants, very recently we have come to know about the role of technology which plays in our life in the UPSC preparation. For example, we didn't knew that the lockdown will continue for 40 days. So many of us have left our books, everything in our PGs or hostel or wherever we are staying. We came back to our native places. Now we are stuck. So now we became more dependent on technology. Most of us are using online materials like PDFs of the standard books or the NCRTs PDF, and even we are depending more on online videos. So and even we can't, and we have started more of data consumption, like 1.5 or 2 GB becomes a very scarce resource now. Also most of us cannot even stay away from the phone for the whole day, so we have more dependence on technology now. So this article discusses about it, and it focuses on one important technology, that is the telemedicine. Why why the article is focusing on telemedicine? Because the center has recently uh, it has gave some guidelines allowing for the widespread use of telemedicine services. So what is this telemedicine services? Telemedicine services are medical services which are given online, either through online consultation for apps such as Zoom and all. So these kind of online consultations are generally called as telemedicines. So this move is in consonance with the rest of the world, where several nations have deployed telemedicine to reach people who have been unable to come to the hospital. It also helps in reducing the footfalls in hospital. Now less number of people will go to hospital because telemedicine for small and small diseases, we can do telemedicine consultations. So and to even provide medical and mental health counseling to countless people. So coming to the Indian scenario, India has already started telemedical medicine in 2000, in the year 2000, but the progress was very slow. Why the progress was very slow? The progress was very slow because there was a lack of legislation related to telemedicine in India, because many were apprehensive of telemedicine. Many were like doubtful, how can telemedicine replace the actual medical care? So due to the lack of legislation, the telemedicine was not legislation was not adopted till now. Recently the government had given a policy and the guidelines, so that gap has been rectified. So the advancement of telecommunication capabilities over the years had made the transmission of images and sound files, heart, lung sounds, and even coughs faster and simpler. Also there are many other technical terms which are involved in telemedicine which we don't have to focus much on. So, and there is a caution here, there's a warning here. The government agencies must be mindful of the possible inadequacies of the medium. Definitely, telemedicine can't replace the actual healthcare. That limitation we have to keep mind of, as well as securing sensitive medical information of the people. The data privacy, as right to privacy has become a fundamental right now, so the data protection law, it also becomes very important when it comes to sensitive medical data of the people. So this is all about the article today. Now we'll we'll do a mains question. I'll give you a mains question. Try to practice it, and if you need any and try to practice it. Let's discuss about the topic. The question is: the world has very few devices left to fight the COVID-19 with, but technology remains one of them. Elaborate. 150 words, 10 marks. So here the question wants us to, from the problem statement, the world has very few devices. Here what they are trying to say is the difficulty in fighting the COVID. So the answer should contain briefly, you should discuss about the difficulty in fighting the COVID-19. Then the second part of the answer, the main part of the answer, is the technology remains one of them. That is the role of technology. Here you have to add many dimensions, like for business purposes we have seen many businesses using video conferencing apps like Zoom. And for health, technology comes where in the development of vaccines. And when we are doing quarantine, in quarantine, social medias help us, even that is a part of technology. In government efforts containing COVID-19, that is contract tracing, the recently the government has released the Arogya Setu app. So these kind of dimensions can be mentioned in the answer. So I hope you guys will practice this question. Coming to the third article, Uttar Pradesh starts pool testing COVID-19 samples. So here, the news is that Uttar Pradesh government on Thursday said it has started pool testing COVID samples in the state. So Uttar Pradesh becomes the first state in India to do pool testing of the samples. So here, it becomes an important prelims topic because pool testing, the concept of pool testing, that should be very clear for you. So we'll discuss about that in the coming slides. Now coming to the article, after experimenting with pool testing, which allows testing several samples together in Agra, the state would now expand it to other districts. So what the UP government has done is, they have already tested uh, pool testing in Agra as a pilot project. They tested around 150 samples. They tested around 150 samples, and most of all of them came negative. Now, due to the success of it, they are going to expand it throughout the state. So this is the news about. Now coming to what pool testing exactly is. Pool testing involves the testing of multiple individual patient specimens, followed by individual testing only if a pool screens positive. So in simple terms, what it is, instead of testing one sample at a time, instead of testing the sample of one person at a time, they will combine the sample of 5 people and test it together. And only if the pool, the sample of 5 people together is called as a pool. If the pool tests positive, then only the individual samples will be separately tested. And if the sample becomes negative, the pool becomes negative, then there is no need of testing it further. So instead of testing one sample at a time, we'll be able to test 5 samples at a time. So this will be very cost effective. It will save the testing kits. We already know that the testing kits are very rare and we are importing it. So it will reduce the use of testing kits, and it will help in faster testing of the population. So this concept becomes very important, not only from the UPSC perspective, but it becomes a tool in fighting the corona pandemic in the country. So here I have made uh, a conceptual clarity, I have made a flowchart sort of thing. So here you can see pool testing. Example, 5 samples will be taken together. If the sample is positive, then individual samples will be tested. The samples will be tested individually. That individual testing is called as pool deconvolution. Here, as you can see, it is called as pool deconvolution. And if it is negative, no further action will be taken, as all the 5 samples are said to be negative. So this is about the pool test, very important concept for prelims. Now coming to the important announcement, those who want their mains question to be evaluated, as we already discussed one mains question, those who want to write it and get it evaluated directly by me, they can please comment. You can request for it in the comment session. We'll contact you back. Also, if you like the video, please like, subscribe and press the bell icon for instant updates. Hope you like the video. Have a good day. Thank you.